Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're talking about how to create custom serializer fields in Django REST Framework using model serializers. By the end of this video, you'll learn how to validate individual fields, how to perform cross-field validation, and also how to use serializer method field to add custom or derived fields to your API responses. So let's dive in. Okay, so this is my code base, and I'm assuming that you already have installed Django, but also Django REST Framework. Okay, so this is a form that I've created using Django REST Framework. And what we're doing here is we have this form that we want to use it for registration purposes. And by the end of this video, we are going to add confirm password so that when someone enters a password, they have to enter the confirm password. And only if these two passwords match, that's when we should be able to create this user in the database. But apart from that, we also want to check if the password is greater than 8 characters or 8 characters or more. And then another thing that we also want to do is we also want to use serializers to be able to combine the first name and last name and provide another field called full name that combines the first name and last name. So we should be able to do that in this video. And another thing, this is just a registration endpoint. So if you try to maybe access something that has been already registered, like for example here, we don't have any validations, so this is working. But let's say, assuming this is ID number 1, if I do this, I cannot access anything. So that is possible here just because we have this view set, and it's a generic view set in which we've only provided a create model mixin. That means it should only handle a post request. If you want me to talk about view sets, we can do that in another video tutorial. But for this video, the first thing that I've done is create a model, and in this model I have a username, password. For a real application, you would want to hash this password, but we're not going to do that in this video. And then I have first name and last name. The second thing that we need to do is to have a serializer working. And this is the basic serializer without any further validations apart from validating if this has a maximum field of 100 and a maximum length of 128. Apart from these validations, we don't have any custom validations in this serializer. So that's what we want to do in this video. So to achieve that, the first thing that we have to do is for password confirmation. So for password confirmation, I'm going to add another field here called password confirmation, and it's going to be a light only field, meaning that I don't have to see this when returning, for example, an object that has been created in the database. So this is for light only purposes. The next thing that I need to do is to add this password confirm light inside our fields. So I take this and paste it inside here. Okay, so now after adding password confirm, we're going to go back to our browser, and then you can see that we have password confirmation here, and then we have password right there. So if I'm going to try to add data here, and right now we haven't done any validation on password with password confirm, but if we try to post, we're going to get an error. And I want to show you this error because you're going to face it, and you should know what you have to do. Okay, it says type error when calling registration.objects.create. This may be because you have a lightable field on the serializer class that is not a valid argument to registration objects.create. You may need to make the field read only. or override the registration create method to handle this field collector. This is very important. Okay, so we have password confirmation here, and it's indeed a write only field. What Django is saying is if you have made this a write only field, I'm assuming that it's also available in the database or in the model registration model. But in this case, the registration model doesn't have the password confirm. But still more, we want to be able to write a password confirmation. So it says the other way around it is to override the create function. We have a function called create that we can override. This function is called whenever you call the function serializer.save in your view set or in your view. If you don't understand what serializer.save does, I have explained in one of my videos. You can check in the serializers playlist. But all what this function does is you use it for saving your validated data or your data that has been validated in the database. So basically, what it does is you do something like this, return, and then you want to create something in the database. So you have to use the model. In this case, it's the registration model. So I'm going to say objects dot create, and then here we just have to pass the validated data. So this should create something in the database. So let's try to learn this again and see what happens now. So if I try to refresh, now I have an error. It's the same error basically. So it says registration got an expected keyword argument password confirmation. So it's still complaining that, okay, in my model, I don't have this field called password confirmation, but you have provided it. So the workaround that is just to pop it out, just remove it, and this should work. So what I'm going to do is validated data dot pop, and what do we want to pop? We want to pop password confirmation. And what pop does, it just removes this from the validated data so that we only pass fields that are available in the model. So let's try to learn this again. Now you can see this has been added to the database. Okay, so let's just go through quickly what we've done. First of all, we've added password confirmation, which is a serializer SHA field with write only set to true. And once after setting this, we saw that it was complaining. So we've introduced the create and we've popped out password confirmation so that we should be able to write this into the database without password confirmation so it doesn't complain when creating an object in the database. So that's what we've done thus far. If that sounds good, then let's continue. Okay, so the first validation that we're going to do, it's called object validation. So basically, we want to validate two objects. We are not only validating one field, but we are validating multiple fields. That's why it's called object validation, because it gives you the whole actual object. So we want to check if password is the same as password confirmation. So to do that, that's our first validation that we're going to do in this video. We need to introduce or override this validate function. What I want to do is very simple. I want to say if, first of all, data password. If you print this data, it will give you the whole object that someone wants to enter into the database. So we want to take in the password and then compare it with the password confirm. So here it will be, it's not equal to data password confirmation. So if these things are not equal, then what we want to do is to um, return a validation error. So we're going to lay the validation error, and it will be serializers dot validation error. That's the error that we're going to raise, and we have to provide the error. In this case, I want to say, passwords do not match. So this, like I said, this is checking multiple fields within the same object. So let's try this again. Let's refresh this. Okay, and then let's try this. And then you can see these passwords are different. So if our validation works, then it has to give us an error. Now you can see it says non-field errors, passwords do not match. So basically, we can assume that that works. To verify this, we can make them the same and then try post. And then it says validate should return the validated data. So here, right here, we need to say what happens if this has passed. So basically, if this is true, like our passwords do match, then instead of raising a validation error, we need to return something. So we just need to return the data. In this case, to make it simple and straightforward, this is validated data. So if you do that, you make these things uniform. So let's change here, call it validated data because that's what it is. And then here, validated data as well. And then here, let's return the validated data. So if that works, and then we try to add the data again, this should work. And then you can see we've added this in the database. So that's our first validation. It's an object level validation. The second thing that we want to check, or the validation that we want to do, is a field validation. So basically, we have a certain field. Let's say we have a password field in our case. We want to do extra validation to this field. What can we do? We have another function that we can apply. And what this does is we say def, and then we use the same validate. We specify what field we want to validate. So in this case, we want to validate password. So we're going to say validate and then specify the field that we want to validate. So once we do that, same thing. This one is also going to take self and then the value. So this gives you a single value that has been passed to the serializer. Okay, so what we have here is in terms of value, what comes here is the actual value that has been provided for that field. So let's say for password, I provided 123. Then what comes here is 123. So what I want to do is to check if the value that comes in is greater than 8, or it has more than 8 characters. If it has more than 8 characters, then that means my test has passed, or my validation has passed. I'm going to return the value. But also, if it's less than 8 characters, then I should throw a validation error. So let's see how we can do that. So I'll say if the length of value is less than 8, then I need to raise an error. Remember, it's a serializer dot validation error. Okay, and then we pass the validation error. In this case, I'll say password must at least be 8 characters long. Once we've done that, we can return the value. That means if that means if That means if the password is greater than 8 characters, then just go ahead and return the value. So if I do save this and try. Now here, first of all, we'll try to make this the same and see. So the first validation has passed. Basically, these passwords are similar, but now it says it must be more than 8 characters. So let's just put the username as the password and then do the same here. I'm hoping this is more than 8 characters. Okay, so that has passed as well. So you can see there are a lot of things now that you can start doing. For example, you can include another one that makes sure there is at least, let's say, one number. You can include another one, let's say, that makes sure that the password is at least, or it at least has a capital letter, or yeah, a capital character. I don't know, something like that. There is a lot. All I'm saying is there is a lot that you can do. Okay, that's it. So today you've learned how to validate individual fields and cross-field relationships. If this tutorial was helpful, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and share it with your developer friends. Let me know in the comments what Django REST Framework topic you would like to see next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.